Nice day if you like azaleas. That's a good one. It's briefly flowering, but it's beautiful. We'll take it. But here's what I wanted you to see. This is our Redwood Arbor, and it's been here for many years. And there are a couple of features that I wanted to talk about. It's been raised up off the ground with these pipes, and you can see them peeking out here. That's one of the secrets of success. They don't rot. The pipes don't rot. And so this should be here for, well, as long as I need it for. The original arbor had a bench across, a bench seat and back here. And we decided we didn't want to have a bench here. We wanted to have a walk-through, a pass-through. And it's kind of a nice signature item here on the south side of the house. The key to the project is the arch that Norm fashioned out of these beautiful pieces of redwood that he glued together to make a 4x6 sort of dimension. And now it's up to the carpenter bees as to whether or not it stands the test of time. The bees seem to love the redwood, and they're inside with their eggs and they're making babies, and they seem to have an appetite for wood. They're gentle enough, they don't bother anybody, so they deface it, and eventually I'll have to fill it or do something with it. The other adventurer is the lichen, which covers any place with good, they say, any place that can show lichen like this or like that and so forth, you can be sure of good air. And then, of course, there is the Virginia creeper that is trying to take over. So there's a lot of things that like to have a piece of this arbor. So let's build one. What do you say?
What inspiration from looking at all those arbors in Sconset. And after looking at those, this is what I came up with, a destination arbor. I suppose you could build it without the seat and just use it as a pass-through, but we like the idea of a seat, a place to sit down. Now it's about 4 feet wide with a nice 2-foot radius arch. There's rungs across the top of the arch and lattice on the side so that we can let a vine climb up over it. Now if you'd like to add one of these to your landscape, a measured drawing is available with a materials list. And you'll hear more about that before the program ends. Now the most difficult part of this project and time-consuming part is to build those nice arches. There's a couple different ways it could be done. I could have cut thin strips of wood and bent them around a form, all glued up together. The other way is this one, which is segments of the arc. And there's actually 2 sections, one on this side and another group of segments on the other side. They're half-lapped. Here's the joint here, another one here, here, here. So when it's all glued together, it becomes a very strong unit. And it approximates the arch that we want to have. We'll cut it out later. That one I glued up last night. We have one more to make. We start with 2x8 redwood. My radial arm saw has been turned to 18 degrees, and we'll start to cut those segments. With the 7 identical pieces glued and clamped together, I can now work on the ends. On the side with 3 segments, I'm adding this piece with an angle cut on one end and a square cut on the other, 21 inches long. Now this extra length is necessary so that I can form tenons on the arch that'll fit into the top of the post. Now I'll show you how to cut the arch out of the blank. First, I have this template that I made from 1/4-inch plywood. I cut it out on my bandsaw. You could also use a jigsaw. Then I smooth the edge with a sander, and I've attached it to the blank with a couple screws. Now that template will be used with my router, which is set up with this collar, which will ride against the edge of the template, and a 1/2-inch straight cutting bit. Now I have to cut all the way through, so I'll only take about 1/4 of an inch at each pass. And with that, we have the beginnings of our arch. Now for the lattice panels. There's an inner frame and an outer frame, and the lattice is like the ham in a sandwich. First thing I want to do is make one of the frames. I'm going to reinforce the joints with biscuits and glue. The arches are connected with these 1.5-inch square rungs that have tenons cut on each end that I made using the same methods I showed earlier. And all we need to hold it together is a little bit more of that waterproof glue. Now, this is the tricky bit. Now, to conceal the joint where the arch meets all the posts, I'm just wrapping them with this 1x stock with a slightly chamfered edge. Well, that's just about it. Now all I have to do is find the right place in the landscape to set up our arbor. Well, what do you think of this as a location for our new arbor? And can you imagine what it might look like this time next summer when we train an ivy to climb up over the top, maybe a little morning glory? It's going to be a great place to come out and read a book.
Now, Tom was very concerned about our main front entrance up here, and this is what he planned to do. He's changed the curve of the walkway. He wants us to relocate this stone and put this arbor in.
Ooh, that will be a nice entranceway.
Now, the reason he wanted to do that is he wants this path to now lead us into the garden instead of hooking around to the back door.
No, don't look at the utility connection to the corner of the house, but look straight down the main axis of this new garden.
Exactly, and it'll also give us some room for this to grow.
Yeah, the tabletop pine. It's nice to space it equally between the arbor and the edge of the garage.
Well, we're all ready to go to work.
So what's the first step?
Do the boulders.
Hey, Roger, how do you like your eggplant?
To be honest with you, I hate it.
Oh, you're going to miss out on a great taste treat.
What were you going to do, pay me off an eggplant?
No, I was thinking more along the lines of string beans. Well, we've been so busy this year at the Victory Garden, we've hardly had a chance to show off our cottage garden, which just gets better and better with each passing year. But I promised you some vines. Here at the entrance, our polka rose is recovered from the winter kill that chopped it back to the ground a year ago. Our General Sikorsky clematis is twining up in among the rows.